The midfield market has so many good players, so many good talents, and it looks like Manchester City is about to swoop not one, but two of those players in Europe. We got so much to talk about, so make sure you guys hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. The transfer window hasn't even started fully. It hasn't even opened up, and so many teams across Europe and even in Saudi are making active moves to sign some of the best players on the football scene right now. And I'm not gonna lie, guys, if they manage to pull this off, this will be a ridiculous midfield that Pep Guardiola has at his disposal next season. Now, I have to speak about probably what is the domino effect leading to these two signings, and that is Manchester City pulling out of the race for Florian Wirtz. Now, they did report in the media that it was due to the financial implications, but I think it's kind of obvious. It's because he chose Liverpool and Liverpool was his preferred destination. And having come off the back of winning a Premier League, I don't think there's any harm in that being the case. And he gets to team up, Florian Wirtz gets to team up with his Bayer Leverkusen teammate Frimpong. Now, I think Reijnders was always on the cards for Manchester City. I also think that a player of his ilk or his caliber was always on the cards. Even if it wasn't him, they were looking for a player of his mold. But what has caught me by a little bit of a surprise is Ryan Cherki. Now, I remember watching Ryan Cherki come through into the Lyon first team, and I thought he was a phenomenal player at a young age. And I think this season in particular, he's shown on the big stages of Europe that he has the ability to be an important game changer because of a lot of attributes that he has that I think a lot of teams could excel with. Now, with the Pep Guardiola way of football and the way that Manchester City play under Pep, I do sometimes think maybe a player like Ryan Cherki, it's not ideal for him to go to Manchester City. However, I do think that with a big weight of defensive actions off of his shoulders, he will be able to flourish in Pep Guardiola's system. Because losing Kevin De Bruyne, who's leaving, Bernardo Silva, Gundogan, there's no kind of guarantee about where their future lies, and just building a squad that can be competitive and compete with Liverpool, etc. in the league and across Europe. I think these are two good signings. So let's talk about Ryan Cherki because he's available reportedly for £36 million, which is about 40 to 45 million euros. It was reported earlier in the season that he was available for 25 million euros, but it seems like Lyon can be able to put that fee up slightly more because they can maybe afford it financially. The financial situation at Lyon has not been that great over the last couple of seasons. Now, with saying that, guys, even for £36 million, I think you are getting a phenomenal player. Like, Manchester City is getting a ridiculously talented player, a player that's good with the ball in tight spaces, that can read the game very well. They need someone in the final third that doesn't need to look up. He knows where Marmoush could be. He knows where Haaland can be. He knows where, his other players in the front line could be if necessary. He's a player of a certain inkling, I think, that doesn't require a system. You just give him the football freedom to kind of take the game by the reins, and he's able to do that. And for me, another thing that I'm thinking about as a rival fan, guys, I'm not gonna lie, is the possibility of a Reijnders and Rodri double pivot. That could be the best midfield duo in Europe if it comes to fruition, if it happens, and most importantly, if they end up playing well together. But having your double midfield or your two sitting midfielders being Rodri and Reijnders, that is ridiculous. Reijnders at AC Milan, for me, I think Reijnders has been up there with the best in Europe. I think because of how AC Milan have done this season, he goes under the radar quite a bit, and due to the fact, there's other players in the Italian league, that midfielders that probably get a bit more limelight, like Lobotka, like Barella, etc. And then you got across Europe, you got midfielders like Pedri, you got midfielders like Bellingham, you got midfielders like Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, João Neves, etc. I feel like Reijnders has gone under the radar a little bit, but let's not be fooled, guys. That is a great midfielder. He's great at getting forward, can get the ball forward, can drive the ball forward, can link the play well. He's good at getting back. His defensive actions are up there with the best midfielders, I think, in Europe. And then getting forward, he's a threat on the ball, and he's so comfortable on the ball. And when you're replacing, a great player like Kevin De Bruyne, and you're replacing potentially a Bernardo Silva and Gundogan, you have to get players that are great on the ball. And like I said, as a rival fan, I don't want to see this stuff, but I have to talk about it because it's going to put Manchester City in a much more competitive position possibly next season. Now, Manchester City, let's not kind of shy away from it, have the luxury of being able to go out and spend, you know, millions in windows. They did it in January, bringing in Omar Marmoush and Kusanov, etc. And now they're doing it again. And they brought in another midfielder in January. And now they're possibly doing it again in the summer window because they need to create a more cohesive team. I think you can see the flaws in Manchester City and an aging Manchester City over the season. And it was funny from October to January when they were struggling to win games, yet they still found themselves finishing in a Champions League spot. It was funny when they nearly got knocked out of the Champions League league format, but they still managed to get through. If Manchester City are able to recruit well, you know, in their front line, you've got Haaland, and Marmoush for me is an amazing player, and he offers something completely different to your normal number nines. And if Pep allows him to play how he plays rather than trying to shoehorn him into a system similar to Ryan Cherki, then I think he'll be great. And to be honest, I don't think Ryan Cherki will struggle at Manchester City because I've seen what Pep has done with the likes of Bernardo Silva when he has him playing out wide in his less aging days. We've seen what Bernardo Silva's been able to do. You know, when Phil Foden's been at the top of the game, we've seen what he's been able to do. Manchester City, if they can pull off this double swoop for Reijnders and Ryan Cherki for a combined price of about 100 million euros, that is great business, guys. Let's be honest, that is great business in a world where people spend 100 million on one particular player. Now, like I said, I think it's a domino effect because they pulled out of the race for Florian Wirtz. I feel like had they not signed, if they were able to sign Florian Wirtz, they may have looked towards maybe not signing Ryan Cherki, but I think Ryan Cherki is probably the next best thing that's available on the market right now. As a Manchester United fan, I really wanted Manchester United to sign him. I did a video with Sky Sports about a month ago saying, you know, Liverpool could be a good destination for him, and this was before the Florian Wirtz links. But Ryan Cherki is a great talent, and for that age, as long as I think you don't coach what makes him out of him, then I think that, you know, he will flourish at Manchester City. And I've always said this about Ryan Cherki. He is a great talent. He's a technician. He's a footballer. When you talk about footballers, he's a footballer. He's not an athlete. He's not any of that. He's a student of the game. The way that he plays, you can see it. You know, it's evident in his style of football. But I think he has to take some defensive responsibility off his shoulders. And if Pep is able to do that and, you know, tell him, you know, you don't, you know, your defensive attributes and getting back, etc., is not on as high of a list as maybe what we expect you to contribute going forward, then I think Ryan Cherki will flourish at Manchester City. And that is why, you know, having a double pivot potentially of Reijnders and Rodri would be able to make that happen. Now, Manchester City fans, let me know how you're feeling about this, because I'm not going to lie, 100 million euros for Reijnders and Cherki combined is great business. And I think the transfer window this summer, not just for City but across Europe, I think there's going to be so much movement across Europe and so many different teams swooping up so many different great talents. So let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Be sure to hit the like button, be sure to subscribe as well if you're new here.